Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Team Chats with Coach Brett and Coach James. I've been coming across a lot of different conversations with some folks on just misinformation on the internet. Like or not even just misinformation, but just the fact that there's so much information on the internet, and that one person can say one thing and another person can say that that's wrong, and it just all gets really confusing. And yeah, I mean, I just thought it'd be a great opportunity to kind of address some of that stuff. So any first thoughts or anything that comes to mind when you think about all the information that's on the internet?
Yeah, I think we have to define what misinformation is. I think that we're going to assume that it's not disinformation, right? So it's not with malicious intent. Let's just say it's things that are not necessarily absolute statements that people are sharing as absolute statements. Because I think that I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say that people are being malicious there or trying to deceive anybody, but I think that there is absolutely a ton of information out there and a ton of conflicting information, and the way in which you need to look at this is, well, at least the way that it's worked for me, is that most statements that people make with massive conviction, right, are statements that apply to what has worked or not worked for them, not necessarily that they apply it to everyone, even if they communicate it as if they're applying it to everybody, right?
Sure.
At the end of the day, someone that's carnivore is probably not going to recommend you be vegan, and probably say that if you're vegan, you're not going to get the same results as them. And they could be true. I mean, that could be right. That could be true because they're carnivore, right? And there's a different, what could you say? A different stressor, a different direction that they've decided to go, and a different framework that they're following. Does it mean that someone that's vegan can't be as shredded as someone that's carnivore, or vice versa, or take out that, put in keto, IF, anything else? No, I wouldn't say so. I think that we just maybe need to give people a little bit of grace when they're speaking there, because a lot of it is not intended necessarily to say that you can't do something else. It's more to say, I didn't do anything else. I did this and this worked for me. And so you need to reaffirm me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I even in early on in my coaching, like I've been guilty of saying like this is the thing that works, and then realizing later like, okay, well, I mean, this is the thing that worked for me. So I like that you said that. But yeah, I was watching an interview not too long ago. I can't remember who it was, but he used the same example you did. And he was just saying that, like, the carnivore guy can say that, like, this is the only way that you can feel better. And then the vegan person could say the same thing. And then at the end of the day, both of them work. It's because both of them have cut out like a lot of processed foods and all those things that kind of make you feel a little bit worse. So, it's stuff like that, like you said. I mean, yeah, there's no specific one way to do this stuff. You have to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah. And I think in that scenario where someone that's vegan or someone that's carnivore said, this is what I did and this is why it worked for me, they probably are both telling the truth, unless they're just being a piece of shit. They're probably both telling the truth. And it could be because of the similarities, right? We always want to talk about differences. Well, you're black. Well, I'm white. Well, I'm a woman. You're a man. Well, I'm a man. You're a woman, what have you. Um, the interesting thing about that is that oftentimes we're just focusing, like we just have our binoculars or our glasses, or just looking at the ways that we're different, or the things that are different in our journeys. And it's probably more alike than what you think. I mean, you could even walk into a CrossFit gym with high performing athletes and look at a bodybuilder that's on the Olympia track that is, placed top 5. There's tons of similarities between what they do, but there is definitely a different stimulus that they're looking for, right? Because they have different goals, but they're both probably, if they're at the peak of their game, probably both eating far more whole foods than ultra processed, enriched nonsense. They're probably taking less supplements than they are eating meals that they're cooking, right? They probably also are both higher in protein than the average person. They're probably both more hydrated during prep of whatever they're doing before they start, before the bodybuilder starts cutting. And a CrossFitter is not really going to stop drinking water because it's a little bit different there. But there's just so many things that are far more similar than they are apart. We just are focusing on, we're showing the things that are different. And so I think that the glass that you might want to be looking at here is when you see someone like Paul Saladino, or you see Sean Baker, or you see Keto King. Um, Look at the things that they're saying that match what some of the other influencers on the other side of the house are saying. Because if you can find yourself in the messy middle, you're probably going to be better off than 80 or 90% of everyone that's trying to be um, ideological about it, right? That's trying to say it's this or bust, or it's that or bust. It's probably not. Somewhere in the middle is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that one thing that comes to mind too, if you're like a person who's listening who, maybe gets that analysis paralysis where you're looking at all these people and they're all saying all kinds of different stuff and you're just like, I don't know what to do. I'm just not going to do anything. One thing that I've reiterated a few times on this podcast, and one thing that I just say all the time in general is like, you just got to pick one of the things, pick something out of the box and go for it. And if it doesn't work, if you don't like it, all good, throw it away, go to the next thing, and then keep going and keep doing that trial and error process until you do find something that does work.
Yeah, and also perhaps to tack onto that, just look at incrementalism, right? If
Yeah.
you eat no whole foods, maybe start trying to increase your whole food intake by 1 to 3%. And I would love to say you just double up or triple up or quadruple up on whole foods, but that's not sustainable for any kind of lifestyle change. Try to increase your intake of whole foods by 1 to 3%. Maybe, you know, part of your meal is not in fast food and it's something that you got from the grocery store that you whipped up yourself. Same thing could be said for sleep. Try to get a little bit more sleep. Maybe that's 15 or 20 minutes. Try to go to bed a little bit earlier. Try to maybe journal a tad, maybe journal for 2 minutes or 45 seconds,
Hmm.
right? Anything that's going to move you towards positive behavior change in route to your goals is going to help you. And so I think that when you look at this massive massive industry that profits off of mis and disinformation, finding the messy middle and what might work for you today is what I would do. And also understand that sometimes what works for you today won't work for you in 9 months or 12 months or 2 years. So you just got to keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I practice that a lot with my clients too. Like I especially clients who maybe like something happened, they got sick and then they fall off for a week or they fall off for, however long. Um or even when they're just starting and they're really overwhelmed with all the stuff that they're going to have to get into to kind of hit their goal. I always start small. I always start with like, look, if you don't want to focus on water, macros, getting your workouts in, reading, journaling, all this other stuff, then let's just do one of those things and you just focus on that thing this week. And then next week we'll add another thing. And then the next week we'll add another, or however long it takes for you to kind of get used to. And I've even seen other coaches who, work with clients who get stressed out when they go to the gym. So what they give them is a workout to do at home, but they give them a task to just drive, walk to the gym, walk in the gym, go to the locker room, go back in your car, and then head back home, just to kind of realize and help them understand that like it's really not as big of an issue as you might think. So all that to say though is that just like those small incremental changes and those just daily actions as small little things, doing those more and more over time, and then getting the confidence to do more over time is from what I've seen, a really successful route to go in.
Yeah, and it's not about trying to eat the elephant all at once. You got to
Hmm.
eat it one bite at a time. And that bite is not the size of its leg, right? Like at the end of the day, it's going to take some time to have sustainable lifestyle change in a bunch of different areas. So start with something. And also realize that the more specific you get on marketing, the more probability there is that someone's trying to sell you the next silver bullet, right? Or or detox tea that's going to get you right where you need to get. And there are no shortcuts.
There are
Biology will push back. There are no shortcuts. So that's all
always.
I got. You got anything else?
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That's it.
All right. So, misinformation, disinformation, your favorite influencers, find the messy middle, pick something that you can improve on, 1 to 3%, incrementally better, And just understand that you're not going to be perfect. That's not what we're striving for. We're just trying to do the best that we can. And it's a long journey. You got the rest of your life. So start today.
Absolutely.
Don't delay. Let's put that in a jingle. And that's all I got.
I love it. I love it.
All right. We will catch y'all later. Appreciate you.
Peace.